Another rainy day here in the south. Man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the sun to start shining again. Let's go ahead and talk about weather today. We have our rainy season and our dry season. Let's get into it. All right, and our first vocab word today talking about weather is natural disasters. Some examples of some natural disasters around the world might include tornadoes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, storms. We also have floods and earthquakes. All right, natural disasters, maybe we're talking about current events and or weather in and around your country or city. Our next word today, everyone, is forecast. Forecast. Here we have a 10-day forecast. What is forecast? Yes, it is a noun, but we can also use it as a verb, right? To predict or maybe make an estimate of what is to come in the future. Now, before I go out, I look at the weather forecast for the day to see what type of clothes I should choose to wear. Our next word for weather is flooding. Yes, unfortunately, this is something that we deal with on an annually basis here in Vietnam. A lot of our cities near the coastal areas tend to flood more than others. And what is flooding? Flooding, by definition, is the covering or even fully submerged of normally dry land. All right? So we can talk about flooding as a natural disaster or even give an example of here in Vietnam. Moving forward, our next word here is monsoon season. Monsoon season or rainy season. Now, here in Vietnam, I think we have a lot of personal experience usually between the months of, I'd guess, anywhere between April and October, where we see a lot of rainfall, yes? During this monsoon season is when we tend to see a lot of our flooding that takes place. Because of the tropical climate, Vietnam is really prone to having monsoons during this time. We talked about the monsoon season. Now the opposite of that would be the dry season. Some people talk about the dry and the wet, or the rainy and the dry, right? So the dry season, can you guess? Pretty simple, right? Not a lot of rainfall. Here in the south of Vietnam in Ho Chi Minh City, our dry season tends to be really hot. And our next word today, everyone, is typhoon. Typhoon. Typhoon, or another word like a hurricane. Hurricane is usually a large storm that happens over water or in a tropical area. Typhoons also come during those monsoon seasons, all right? So typhoon when we're talking about weather. All right, and before we get started with our questions, let's just do a quick activity as a warm-up, all right? Go ahead and match the adjectives with their definition. Now let's go ahead and begin. Number one, mild. What is mild? Do you know? Correct, yes. Neither hot nor cold. Also warm. So, how do you like the temperature in your bedroom at night? Just mild. Not too hot, not too cold. Somewhere in the middle. Nice. How about number two? Freezing. Freezing. What's freezing? You are correct. Very cold. I know a lot of people in the south think of the north as being freezing during the winter months. I disagree. I find it to be quite refreshing. How about number three? Scorching. Do you know what it is? Correct. Scorching, very hot. Now, a lot of people like to cover up when they go outside because the sun is scorching down on them. Nice. How about number 4, everyone? Humid. Humid. Do you know? You are correct. Lots of water in the air. When it is humid outside, I tend to sweat a lot. I make sure to use deodorant every day, but sometimes I put on extra deodorant when the humidity is at an all-time high. And the last one is chilly. Chilly. No, not what we eat for dinner. No, not what we put in our pho. This is chilly, talking about the weather. Yes, correct, chilly. Very, very cold. Nope, just a bit cold. Just a bit cold. Think about chilly weather. You don't need a lot of layers, maybe just a few, a jacket or a sweater to get you through the chilly weather. Nice job, everybody. Now, let's take a look at our questions here. We're talking about weather, and the question is, what's your favorite weather? Now, I like this because we have a simple question and we can give a great response with this. So, if we look closely, what tenses and structures will we use? Yep, we could use the present simple, maybe past simple. We're going to try the first conditional as well as some adverbs of frequency. So let me go ahead and give you my example. Once again, not everything in IELTS has to be true. Here we go. Well, I grew up in Canada and I'm a huge fan of winter sports, so I love the snow. The colder, the better for me. When I was a kid, I always liked sledding, and then I started skiing as a teenager. So I always looked forward to snowstorms. If it's snowing, you'll probably find me doing something outside. Our second question here, is the weather the same in all parts of your country? Well, I really like this simple question because we can give a not so simple answer. Let's take a look, which tenses and structures might we use? Well, yes, we should use the present simple, and of course, any chance you get, you should use comparatives. Let me give you my example. Is the weather the same in all parts of your country? No, the north of the country has all 4 seasons. Winters are pretty mild, but there might be snow high up on the mountains. Sometimes it could get quite chilly. The south has a tropical climate with a monsoon and a dry season. And the weather in the middle of the country is more predictable and gets lots of storms. Now the next question, does the weather affect the way you feel? Which tenses, structures are we going to use? Yes, present simple and probably our conditional. Now let me give you my example. Does the weather affect the way you feel? Oh yes, definitely. If it's really hot, I don't feel like doing anything at all but sitting inside. It takes all my energy. And as soon as it snows though, I'm excited to get out and do something active. Like I said before, I love winter sports, so snow makes me thrilled. Moving right along, does weather ever cause natural disasters in your country? Guys, what are we doing? Yes, the present simple, past simple, and hopefully some adverbs of frequency. Let me go ahead and give you my example. Does weather ever cause natural disasters in your country? Yes, it does occasionally. When the monsoon season comes in the south, parts of the city gets flooded pretty badly. There are also typhoons that sometimes affect the middle of the country, and these can cause floodings as well. Actually, there was a typhoon that hit Ho Chi Minh City last year. All right, and our next one. Has the weather where you live changed over time? Guys, what should we be using here? What tenses? Maybe the present simple, our past simple, and present perfect. Present perfect would be a great one. So here's my example for you. Has the weather where you live changed over time? I think it definitely has. Probably due to global warming, like everyone says. When I was a kid, I don't even remember it being this hot. It gets absolutely scorching now. And the rainy season used to be regular, but that is different now too. It starts later in the year and ends later. There's been a lot more extreme weather too. All right, everyone. I hope that you found that information helpful, and I really hope to see you next time as we tune in again for IELTS in a nutshell. See you soon.
VUS, your English, your future.